Hello, everybody. I'm Grant Fluff from Floodsters Sports Zone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 21 of Floodsters Sports Zone, where we recap the weekly sports news. Today's guests, I have Rourke Burnstrom and Callahan Hall from my school, Rising Tide. Thank you guys for coming on the show this week. I've been wanting to have you guys on for a while, and I'm glad we can finally set up a date.
Oh, anytime.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. And so we will begin with, of course, remind you that you should go follow Floodsters Sports Zone on Instagram, where we can see the topics we talk about all week long. And my computer is acting up, which is not ideal. But regardless, hopefully that loads up, which it finally did. Good. The Colts have extended All-Pro linebacker Darius Leonard to a 5-year deal worth roughly $100 million, with over $50 million guaranteed. And that should not be the case either. But Rourke, I know you're a Colts fan. Why don't you give us your opinions on the Darius Leonard extension real quick?
I love the Darius Leonard extension. I'm a firm believer that he is the best linebacker in football, so he should be paid as such, and that he is. So I just hope we have money to pay Quentin in a couple of weeks.
Well, there you go. Cal, what do you think of the extension?
I mean, it's a great extension. He's the best defensive player on their team, and he's one of the sole reasons why they're such a solid team. But I mean, in my opinion, it's a great extension, but they're not going far in the playoffs either way, so I don't see a big change.
Ooh, not going far in the playoffs, eh? Of course, Colts bounced out of the wild card round against Buffalo last year. All right, interesting takes. I agree that this is a good contract. However, I will have to contradict what you, Rourke. I think Fred Warner is going to be the best linebacker in football this year, so I'm going to have to go with he should have maybe been the highest paid linebacker, not Leonard. Of course, Warner got extended a few weeks ago as well. It's just nice to see the young linebackers getting the money they earn. So we'll see what happens with these young careers. All right, so my share screen is acting up a little bit, but we could still roll through the topics here. So I don't know if you guys watch much hockey or not, but I will quickly announce that the Rangers re-signed goaltender Igor Schusterkin to a 4-year deal worth $22.66 million. Of course, goalie for the Rangers. He's still, I think he's 23, and he's been very talented. And the few times he played the Bruins this year, I was really impressed with his work. The Rangers, just in general, have a very young team. They're going to be playoff contenders a couple years down the road. I think Schusterkin is a main piece of that puzzle. And ultimately, this guy's going to be the star next year. He was projected to be the starter, and we'll see what happens there. You guys have any takes on that?
Yeah, I don't watch as much hockey as I like to, but I definitely agree with you. He's young. The Rangers are a pretty solid team, and I think it's just a great signing overall. Keep them a contender.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're paying a franchise goalie under $25 million. Nothing could go wrong there. So that's good. And now the share screen is working, so we are all fine and dandy. Okay. Moving forward, huge news. The Mavericks and Luka Doncic have agreed to a 5-year, $207 million extension. This was, of course, the rookie max deal. He is making the same amount of money as Trae Young, roughly. What do you guys think of this contract? This was pretty huge for one of the up-and-coming players in the NBA.
Well, I think it's a great contract, first off, for the Mavericks because they're locking up easily who I think is going to be the best player in the world in a couple of years, maybe even now. And for Luka, it's a lot of money, but he's locked up for 5 years. I don't know how I feel about it from his perspective. I mean, I don't really see the Mavericks doing as much, like building around him. Obviously, they have Porzingis, they have guys like Dennis Smith Jr., but I don't really see like a future of like winning for Luka. So it's a great deal for the Mavericks. It's pretty good for Luka. I'm obviously hoping he gets moved to another city soon. So
Oh, all right. So you don't think the Mavericks got that bright of a future? That's an interesting take. Rourke, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Cal. For the most part, with the fact that Luka shouldn't want to be in Dallas, but I don't know if he's worth it. I've never liked Luka. I'm not big on Luka. I know a lot of people are, but I don't know if you save that money, put it elsewhere, you might be able to actually make a team. And the trade bait is ridiculous. You could get so much for Luka, so I think they should have tried that. But
You should have tried trading him, perhaps. I could tell you right now, I could guarantee you a team is willing to pay up at least 3 first-rounders for Luka, which I know 3 first-rounds for a player is insane to think about. But when you get a player so young and talented, and like Cal said, he could eventually be perhaps the best basketball player in the world in a couple of years, you're willing to pay that price, and any team is willing to pay that price, especially those championship contenders who are in that win now mode, can build for the future. You see, Dallas still is a young team, and that's where I kind of agree with you guys. I don't know how good Dallas is going to end up succeeding when they make it to the playoffs every year. So we'll have to see how that plays out, obviously, down the road. But as for right now, I do think it's a good deal. Luka's getting the right amount of money. The 5 years, at least it's not like 8-year extensions like you would normally see in hockey or baseball. So I guess that's good. But overall, good for Luka, for the Mavericks. You gotta build a team around him. So I think so. I would agree with you guys there. All right, moving on to the Celtics. Signing point guard Dennis Schroeder to a 1-year deal worth $5.9 million. I just can't believe he ended up signing with the Celtics and rejecting a 5-year contract with the Lakers. What are you guys' take on that?
I don't like him. Mainly because I think it's a prove-it year for him. So he's going to be caring more about himself rather than the team, and that's a big problem that the Celtics have right now. Is the fact that I think I forget who I heard this from. I think it was Colin maybe, but it was right. And yeah, I don't know. He just isn't going to be looking to play team ball, and that's what the Celtics need.
I mean, personally, I love the signing. Huge Celtics fan. I think it's awesome that we got Dennis Schroeder. He's a great player. He was getting clowned a lot on the internet for turning down the Lakers deal and accepting this one. I kind of understand where he's getting from. It's a great deal in LA, but I think he just wants another year to prove what he can do.
Yeah, and that is the big speculation of signing with the team like the Lakers. When you're on a team with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, when are you going to get the ball? And at least in Boston, yes, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are great, but at least you can still be that third man on the roster and still at least succeed in a decent enough offense. Schroeder last year had 15.4 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, and 5.8 assists, shooting just over 43%. He is just kind of take the ball and shoot type of player, but I think, at least for me, that's kind of what the Celtics need right now to get over that hump of maybe making the second round or Eastern Conference Finals. Well, again, 1-year deal, prove it deal. We'll see what happens there. The Colts have been busy this week with the Leonard extension. We'll get to more Colts news later, but they have extended GM Chris Ballard and head coach Frank Reich through the 2026 season. Well-deserved, in my opinion. I mean, they have done absolutely nothing but succeed since joining the club in 2018, I believe it was. They've both done incredible so far.
Well, as I'm sure you know, Frank Reich, Chris Ballard, the best coach and GM in football. So why not?
Okay.
Frank Reich's a bit of a stretch, but I fully agree. I fully believe that Chris Ballard is the best general manager in the NFL. Great in the draft, not so great in the offseason. Would have liked more. But we're building through the draft, so I guess it's okay. And Frank Reich has certainly done a lot better than Chuck Pagano did. I think has he lost? I don't think he's had a losing season yet.
No, I don't believe so.
I don't know. It's great. I'm assuming you disagree, though.
No, I'll keep it short and sweet. I think it's a great extension. As much as I hate on the Colts, they're the sole reason that they're a pretty solid, great football team built around like an insane league-leading defense. So I think it's a great signing. Great extension.
I mean, again, you say that, the Colts didn't do much this offseason, but remember, they brought in guys like DeForest Buckner last offseason. And, of course, you have Carson Wentz, who, if he can stay healthy, I think you're at least getting a top 15 quarterback in the league this year. That's a hot take, I know, but we've seen Frank Reich and Carson Wentz work before in Philadelphia. That was, of course, in 2017, where they, of course, would go on to win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, but we still can't take away the fact that Wentz played incredible that year. The Colts are building for the future. They are one of the youngest teams in the league, one of the lowest payroll teams in the league currently, and they are just doing everything right. They have lost in the playoffs in 2018. They lost in the playoffs this year, but that's okay. This is all building for the future. And to be completely honest with you, the fact that the Colts have stayed this much on path since the Andrew Luck retiring, I think is incredible. The fact that they have just continued to at least be in the running in the AFC South, because obviously once Andrew Luck retired, everyone was like, the Colts are done. But, they've stuck in there. So, obviously that begins with the GM and the head coach getting most of the credit in that regard. So, Colts are doing a good thing. Moving on to more Colts news. Here it is. Wentz and Quentin Nelson. So it was announced that last week they both underwent foot surgery. They were expected to miss 5 to 12 weeks. Everyone's panicking. Is Sam Ehlinger going to start or is Jacob Eason going to start? Well, further study shows Wentz will probably be back week 1, and so will Quentin Nelson. Colts offense is back to its fullest strength. And now they're a team to be reckoned with again.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you saw me put up the 10 fingers disagreeing with you when you said Wentz would be a top 15 quarterback. I think if he stays healthy all season behind the Colts O-line with the weapons he has, he's a top 10, maybe top. So, because he was in Philly. He was the best quarterback that year until he got injured at the end, and Brady won MVP for some reason, even though Wentz should. But and then if Quentin stays in, it just means so much more for Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if anybody's fantasy people, but Jonathan Taylor is a top 5 fantasy back if Quentin Nelson is playing. If they make the playoffs. If they don't, they won't. And that's basically how it's going to go.
All right, Kyle, you said Wentz wouldn't be top 10. What was your counter argument to that?
Look, he's in the perfect situation. He's got easily like one of the best offensive lines in football, a pretty solid team all around. Like, it'll boost him definitely a lot. I just don't think he's a great quarterback. I don't think he's the answer. And I think that every year the Colts take looking for their franchise quarterback, they're just wasting the rest of the talent they have on that team. I think they need to find someone else, and I don't think Wentz is the answer.
Maybe Wentz isn't the answer, but, I mean, they really couldn't have done better. I mean, they could have went after Sam Darnold, but Wentz is a better player than Sam Darnold. I think we can all agree there. I'm trying to think of other quarterbacks, like Teddy Bridgewater, maybe, but Wentz is more proven. I could just end the segment right now and say the Colts should sign Blake Bortles and be the end of that, but for the sake of everyone on the channel would know I would do that, but for the sake of the show, I won't. Listen, Wentz was their best guy available. You know, at least choosing between the quarterbacks I could have gone after, he was the best available. So I think Indianapolis did a nice job. And I love the connection with Wentz and Reich, what they have done in Philadelphia already. So we'll see what happens there. The Seahawks now moving on to later on that day, the Seahawks released outside linebacker Aldon Smith. Now, this is interesting. Of course, Smith retired after 2015, came back, played with the Cowboys last year, actually exceeded expectations, signs with Seattle, gets in trouble with the law, and now is released. Roller coaster year for Aldon Smith. What do you guys think? Does Smith have anything left in the tank, or you think he's done? What do you guys think?
Well, I think he's a pretty great player. I mean, he's got talent where it's at. He just needs to keep his mind focused on football. I think he could still be a pretty good option for many teams. You just got to show that he takes it serious enough to commit to it.
Yeah, I would agree with what Cal said.
Yeah, I mean, it is shown even back in the days with the 49ers. I mean, it shows this guy has the talent. You just got to get out of that legal trouble, and you are fine, and you are making some quality money as an NFL player. So maybe we'll see Smith back on the field. We shall see. All right. The Panthers have re-signed center Sam Reinhart to a 3-year deal, roughly $20 million. I don't think you guys watch my hockey program, Power Skate, every Wednesday, Power Skate Show. Go subscribe here on YouTube. But I am notorious for just questioning the Florida Panthers after every single acquisition they do. I think Bill Zito is one of the most overrated GMs in hockey. But I will give the Panthers credit. They get a guy who scored 40 points last year on a pretty abysmal Sabres team. So they're doing something right down there. Of course, they acquired Reinhardt during the draft. You guys have any takes on this?
Nothing huge. Just I think it's a solid acquisition. Just another weapon to add to hopefully overcome the Lightning.
Hopefully overcome the Lightning. That is a challenge for every single team in the Eastern Conference, isn't it? Oh, boy. Moving on to Chris Davis retiring. At 35 years old, Davis was in his 6th year of his 7-year way overpaid extension. But listen, with his time with the Orioles, he had 941 hits, batting average of .230, and 273 home runs. Yes, he became a strikeout magnet around 2019, but I think we have to realize that before around that 2018-2019 period where he really just fell off a cliff statistically, he was solid. And really, with the Rangers, I know he was getting into some trouble, but he was still overall a decent overall player. So you guys' takes on Chris Davis retiring?
I
think it was you can go, Rourke.
I was just gonna say I don't know who he is. I just started getting into baseball a little bit, so I don't know that much yet. But
all right, Cal, what's your take?
Yeah, obviously used to be a great player. Definitely deserving of that contract years ago, but he definitely fell off a cliff and hasn't been the same player since around like a few years ago. I think it's about time to retire.
About time to retire. I mean, I agree. And again, he was dealing with injuries earlier on the season. He was dealing with injuries last year. It makes sense why Davis is retiring. He earned his money, and he had at least a lengthy career. All right, moving on to the Lions releasing cornerback Quentin Dunbar. This is just another one like Aldon Smith. Like he got arrested last year actually with a little incident with Chiefs corner Dre Baker, where he apparently robbed a car during a party or whatever. I don't exactly remember what the whole situation was, but here's another one who is very talented football player, but just can't stay out of trouble.
yeah, I mean, I would argue that the Lions don't even really need Dunbar anyways. They have a good secondary. It's one of the only things on that team that's half decent.
True.
So it's not the worst to let him go.
Yeah, I would definitely tend to agree there. Cal, what do you think?
Yeah, overall, nothing significant. Agree with both of you on that. Just got to focus on football. It's not a huge deal for the Lions either way.
Yep, you still got to make sure that Jeff Okuda is at least getting top 2 corner reps because obviously selected third overall. He sure isn't looking like it is a rookie year. But again, maybe he can blossom into something down the road. We shall see. But yeah, Quentin Dunbar, I don't think this is a big need. I could see a team who is desperate for a cornerback to sign him, but unless someone significant gets injured, I really don't see him signing anywhere this season. Again, I think that's because of his issues off the field. I would say I could see either Chicago or Dallas attempting to sign him, but again, I think that's only if a major injury occurs. Moving forward to the Cubs placing pitcher Jake Arrieta on unconditional release waivers. This was huge. Jake Arrieta, when he joined the Cubs, I believe it was last year, this was supposed to be a huge acquisition. This was supposed to be the pitcher that leads the Cubs back to the playoffs, and oh no. He became atrocious, and now he's getting released. And he's definitely going to land elsewhere, but the question is where. All right, what are your guys' take on this?
Yeah, not a lot. He was a great player when he signed, turned out to be a complete disappointment in Chicago. And I think the Cubs are just going with getting rid of everything they got and rebuilding at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, this year he was 5-11 in 20 games, pitched 86 innings, allowed 113 hits and 21 home runs, allowing 66 earned runs. Oh boy, that is
Pretty bad.
Those are some abysmal stats. All right, Rourke, what are your take on this, if you have any?
I don't, other than the stats you just said. That's just awful. I don't know what he did last year, but it's not bad to get rid of him unless you want to put him in the minors. But why waste the? I don't know how much he was being paid, but just get rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was making, I think, under $1 million. He was on the Phillies last year. He wasn't much better. I mean, he only allowed 16 home runs, which is actually pretty good. But he went 4-4 last year in 9 games. Yeah, I think he was injured, if I remember. And he still allowed 51 hits in 24 games. Okay, never mind. That's still not good. Regardless. Moving on to oh boy, I get to rip the Jaguars management today. I forgot about this. The Jaguars trade linebacker Joe Schobert to the Steelers for a 2022 sixth. Before I go on my little rant, do any of you two have something to say?
I think it was good to get rid of Schobert because Schobert is, although a fantastic linebacker, ancient. Was he mid-30s now? But is he? Or is he early?
He's 29.
Really?
He's 27.
He's 27.
He's 27.
Oh, for a 6th round pick. That's awful. I don't want to know what you're about to say. But
all right,
yeah.
Cal, what do you think?
Yeah, all I have to say is not enough value. 6th round pick. I don't know what they're doing.
Oh boy. Well, I can tell you what they're doing. They are deluded into thinking Trevor Lawrence is going to solve all of their issues. We are going to draft a 3rd down running back in the draft. We're going to trade away our best linebacker besides Miles Jack for a very little sum. We aren't going to re-sign Dede Westbrook or Keelan Cole, but we're going to throw money at Marvin Jones. I don't see the direction in what this team is doing. And not to mention, the only thing that the Jaguars have really done this year that has made me happy is re-signing Cindy Jones. And he is supposed to be the 3rd-string corner. That is the only thing I think the Jaguars have done this season that has really got me excited. They had the chance to trade Gardner Minshew. They didn't do that. They had the chance to release Taven Bryan like 5 times already. They didn't do that. And now they're trading away their 2nd or 3rd best defensive player for scraps. CJ Henderson might be on the trading block after he was drafted just last year. The Jaguars are doing what they always do, and it ticks me off. But I've been a fan since 2013, and I'm staying loyal. I don't care, but they tick me off a lot.
Can I talk a little bit more about the Jaguars here?
Yeah, sure you can.
to repeat what the Bengals did last year. I think obviously Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback, and he's going to do great things. Except their offensive line, the definition of garbage, and he will get hurt eventually unless they do something about it. So,
I mean, they threw a lot of money at Brendan Linder and Andrew Norwell, and they also used their franchise tag on Cam Robinson, the left tackle, who is constantly injured.
right.
That's another thing the Jaguars did this offseason that really puzzled me. Why are they throwing over $13 million at an injured tackle? I just don't understand. I don't agree with it. But, yeah, I mean, just they do this often. Oh, and don't even get me going on the Tebow thing either. That's I could talk all day about how bad the Jaguars management is. Moving on to the Patriots defeating the Washington football team this past Thursday. Second preseason game was in the books. Rookie Mac Jones, 13 for 19 for 87 yards. Didn't throw a touchdown, didn't throw a pick. He was playing conservative. Short passing is Josh McDaniels' type of style and offense. And it looked like he excelled in that so far.
I'd hate to disagree with you. I'm gonna do it anyways. I think Mac played good for what Mac can do, but I don't know if he passes he threw, specifically the one to Gunner. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his last name when he overthrew him by like 5 yards. Yeah, he had the touchdown and he overthrew him. Well, it might not have been a touchdown. They might have caught him, but it was a terrible pass. He's just not accurate throwing the deep ball, which is why he didn't. So that's good for him. But I still think Newton should start. I think Newton will start, but
yeah, I agree with you there. Newton should definitely start week 1, 100%.
Not accurate throwing the deep ball, Rourke. You see that pass to Wilkerson?
I did, but
Wilkerson literally catches that. It's on his fingertips. That's a touchdown.
Right.
Oh boy. Well, of course, Cal is a Patriot fan. He's high on Mac Jones. I know a lot of people we know are high on Mac Jones. He was hyped up around our school after the draft last year. I think Mac Jones is going to be fine. I think, again, if he's not the greatest deep thrower in the world, I think that's why he's on the Patriots, really, because they are used to short increment passes, and that's where they're going to have Mac Jones succeed in. So, again, there is no rush to start Mac Jones. Cam Newton is still a quality starter, in my opinion, despite having a down year last year. He's going to be fine. Start Newton for the first few weeks. I wouldn't even really rush Mac Jones into starting unless Newton gets injured. Of course, Jared Stidham's out for a little bit. I think he injured his back. And, I mean, I would trust Mac Jones over Brian Hoyer. So, we'll see what happens. But, yeah, the Patriots, we'll see. But, again, it's 1 of 3 preseason games. So, we will see what happens as this preseason goes along, for sure.
Patriots fans might hate to hear this, but he's just not the answer to their problems, as Cal said about oh, by the way, Cal just texted me his computer died. He'll be right back.
I was just about to say, Cal will be back, so that's good.
But Justin Fields it looked like Justin Fields was going to fall for them until Chicago traded up in front of them to take him. After that happened, there was a lot of other holes on that team that they could have solved. Draft a receiver, draft somebody else. Think about Kyle Trask maybe later on. You don't need to waste a first-round pick on Mac Jones, and they did it, and they'll regret it. But until then.
All right. Looks like Cal is back. He is. So basically, Cal, Rourke was saying he don't think Mac Jones will succeed in New England. What is your counter argument to that?
Look, I don't know. Rourke, he's talking off his rocker right now. He's not big on sports. I don't know. He might not be using his brain as much. But he's the next Tom Brady. That's all I saw from that game. He fits the system well. He is clearly more accurate than Cam Newton, and he was the most accurate quarterback in college football last year. So I see nothing but hope for the Patriots organization.
Well, the most accurate quarterback in college football last year was either Lawrence or Fields. Second, you can't be calling people the next Tom Brady after one preseason game. I don't care how good or bad he did.
He might not have the talent yet, but the way he plays the game, it is the exact same way that Brady plays the game. He's hardworking. He's down for the short precision passes, and he fits the system well. So I think if he keeps on working at it, we're going to have a pretty good future in it.
Well,
yeah, and I do think in years 2 and 3, Jones will progress and eventually get the starter. But I don't know, Rourke, what do you want to say?
He comes from Alabama, which had 2 of the greatest college receivers to ever play football, and now he's coming to a group of misfits that is the New England Patriots receiving room.
I'm sorry, who are the 2 of the greatest college receivers of all time?
Devonta Smith, who just posted a Heisman season and is quite literally
all 160 pounds of Devonta Smith is the best college football receiver of all time, Rourke.
Not the best.
That's the best college football receiver of all time.
You just said Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle were better college receivers than Calvin Johnson.
They were great receivers, but they are definitely not even close to being the best all-time, Rourke.
They're better than Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. So.
Obviously.
I mean, listen, Aguilar was a first-round pick. Look how that turned out. And then I think Bourne was drafted, third round? He's okay for a third-round pick. But
they're pretty good.
Yeah, but obviously Smith and Waddle are better than Aguilar and Bourne, but I still think that New England's going to be fine. They still have Jacoby Myers, who I think is heavily underrated. And N'Keal Harry is he can be good when he wants to be. And then Gunnar Olszewski, he's okay in the receiving game, but he's more their special teams guy, which is fine. But, again, we'll see what happens with Mac Jones. Future moves on. I do think he will eventually get into that Belichick system. He's going to play. He's going to be the Patriots starter in a year or 2 down the road. And personally, he is going to be – I could see him being, unironically, Jimmy Garoppolo 2.0, which is good – but is that his ceiling? That is the question that will soon be answered. I don't know what you guys take. You think Mac Jones could be Jimmy Garoppolo 2.0? You have you're comparing him to any other quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, we did watch Garoppolo throw away the Super Bowl quite literally with it. So maybe, but I think the Patriots will be very successful if they keep the ball on the ground and pass short passes to their tight ends. And
there you go.
They have a great O-line, great running back room, great tight ends. Cam Newton loves his tight ends.
Talking about that running back room, too. I mean, they have 4 capable starting running backs. They had that rookie. I'm blanking on his name right now. He went off Thursday night. Yeah, he had 127 rushing yards. They have Sony Michel, who, isn't good. But if you need a bruising third down back, that's your guy. You have James White, your receiving back, and then you have Damian Harris, your can do everything running back. So New England has 4 very good running backs based off of what I've seen, and I've been fully impressed with them. At first I was like, how can the Patriots replace someone like Rex Burkhead? It looks like they're going to be replacing Rex Burkhead pretty easily. So. Well, we'll see what the Patriots do in the future. All right, moving on to while some of you were watching the Patriots football team game, I had the pleasure here on YouTube commentating the Field of Dreams game in which the White Sox won a bizarre 9-8 come-from-behind win over the Yankees. Tim Anderson hits a 2-run bomb, bottom of the 9th. One of the best regular season baseball games I've ever watched. We'll just put it to you that way.
I didn't get to watch it. Didn't get to watch it, but it seemed like a great game for baseball. I think I read the stat saying that it was the highest watched regular season baseball game in like the last 10 years or something like that. And just the way it played out on the Field of Dreams field and everything, it was just awesome. Great experience.
Absolutely, yeah, and then they are going to be returning here for 2022. I want to be Red Sox Rays. We'll see what happens. Yeah, but yeah, that was incredible. I was gonna pull up my home run call, but I don't know how good my audio is gonna work on my computer, so I will not do that. But I did post on my Instagram the other day my home run call for the Tim Anderson, and I had Bruins winning in playoff overtime goal call vibes during that. That entire game was just fun to broadcast, fun to view. And really, again, it was a success. They should make it an annual thing. Like they make the Winter Classic an annual thing in hockey. They make the Pro Bowl an annual thing in football. Make the Field of Dreams game and every year thing in baseball. It just makes sense revolving around a pretty cool movie. All right, moving on to Friday's news. The Panthers signed center Joe Thornton to a one-year deal worth $750,000. Again, this is one I can't really harp on Panthers management for. I think that this is fine. I think Joe Thornton is a pretty solid fourth liner for a young team. How much does he have left in the tank? I don't know. If he gets under 10 points next season, I wouldn't be shocked at all. But he's still kicking. I believe 42 years old now. He's going to the Panthers. And it's incredible that Thornton's been playing this long too.
Yeah, it's completely amazing that he's still going on, still playing pretty damn well too. I think it's a decent signing. Panthers are in win now mode, and hopefully he gets a ring. I'd like to see that. So,
yeah, Joe Thornton, one of those many who is destined to win a ring, and he said in a quote later that day that he signed with the Panthers because he really thinks they have a legit shot to win the title. So. We shall see. Stanley Cup going to Sunrise. I think the NHL would lose way too much revenue if that happens. But, hey, if that means Joe Thornton can win a ring, that'd be pretty sick. All right. Moving on to the Giants re-signing shortstop Brandon Crawford to a 2-year, $32 million deal. I just think it's incredible that this guy revived himself, really, and San Francisco went from one of the league's worst teams last year to the best team in baseball this year, and that is because of their veteran shortstop who's just been incredible this season.
Yeah, I would agree that Crawford is having a phenomenal year, so might as well pay him. I don't know how old he is or how long he'll be around for, but
he's 34.
As far as baseball contracts go, you said 2 years, $34 million?
Yeah.
That's not bad at all, so might as well keep him around.
Trying to look up his statistics right now. 298 batting average, 19 home runs, 69 RBIs, and I mean, that's not awful considering for 332 at-bats. He's done well, and again, the Giants just coming from out of nowhere, taking that NL West lead, and they still have about a 3-game lead over the Dodgers, I'm pretty sure. So as long as they keep on cruising, they could be the team to beat in the NL this year. Re-signing a guy like Crawford makes sense. Moving on to Justin Fields' performance from yesterday, throwing for 14 completions, 142 yards, 1 touchdown to no picks. He also ran for a touchdown. The Bears defeated Miami 22-13. We're talking all this good/bad stuff about Mac Jones. Was our take on Justin Fields?
I think he had an okay game. It was pretty good, but I wish he did a lot better because I'd like to see him start week 1, and I don't know if he's going to do that after that game, but he's still got 2 more. I just not high on Andy Dalton. I'd like to see Fields start.
I think you're in every other football fan's shoes right there. Andy Dalton's a quality player. Backup, though. You got to start Fields, especially if you draft someone, 11th overall, I believe. You got to go at your first-round QBs, unless if you're in a situation like the Patriots, I think, anyway. Cal, what are your opinions on Justin Fields and his debut?
I mean, I think he had a great game. I think he stood out to me as the best quarterback from that preseason game 1. He had a great game. He obviously got a lot of reps, but it showed to me that he's ready now and that I could see him possibly overtaking Andy Dalton sooner rather than later.
I would say right now, based off of this preseason performance, if he continues to play flawless throughout, like doesn't turn over the ball, doesn't take sacks, and just kind of did what he did against Miami every single game, I could see him starting week 1. If he does have a little fork in the road here and there, I could see him starting week 6. I think that'll be a good time frame for Chicago to make a QB change, considering they'd probably only have 1 or 2 wins by that point of the season.
When did Baker come in for Taylor?
Week 3, 2018.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something more like that. They'll probably go with Dalton, and when Dalton loses every game he plays, they'll put in Fields. But I like the Bears team a lot. Their defense is great. Their receiving core is great. I think David Montgomery is one of the best young backs in the league. I don't know familiar with their O-line, but they could be a playoff team if they have the right quarterback, which Andy Dalton is not. So...
Yeah, no, I would definitely tend to agree. Of course, Bears lost to the Saints in the wild card round last year. This team can make the playoffs with a solid defense and with a good run game. You get Tyreek Cohen back. That's good. Their offensive line, I think they get a little bit better. They signed Justin Peters. I don't know if that's on my topic list or not, but they signed Jason Peters, which is good. Good veteran left tackle, but he's still pretty good. I believe he made 8 Pro Bowls in his career thus far. And I know that they have Allen Robinson and Daryl Mooney as their top 2 receivers, who Robinson, one of the more athletic receivers in the league, and Mooney heading into his 3rd year, exceeding expectations. So I think if you start Fields, you could be in the running for a division title because let's say, for example, Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins gets injured for the Packers or Vikings, the division could be the Bears to win. So if the right stuff falls like dominoes, I think they could win the division.
Going back to Darnell Mooney and touching the fantasy, what's his ADP, like round 9, 10? I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say, probably 9.
I don't want to give away my fantasy tips, but Darnell Mooney in the 9th round is probably one of the steals of the draft. He's going to have a phenomenal season. Probably similar to Calvin Ridley's last year. So
it's a bold take.
It is a bold take.
Bold take, but wide receiver 2, he's going to get a lot of receptions. I mean, I'm looking at Mooney more of like past the fantasy perspective. I could see him making, like 65, 70 catches for over 700 yards and like 5 touchdowns. Like if Mooney can do that, if not a little bit better, he's doing his job.
I like that closer to 8 if I had to say touchdowns.
Yeah, maybe 8 or 9 if they switch to Fields more often. I know Andy Dalton's a big throw to the tight end guy. So, we'll see what happens there. Oh, and real quickly, about on the Dolphins side of things, real quickly, I was never really impressed with Tua last year in the league. Like, in the NFL, I just don't think he's adapted that good yet. His touchdown interception ratio isn't terrible, but Tua in 2 drives threw a pick yesterday, and it was an underthrown ball into double coverage.
Mm-hmm.
I still am not sold on Tua Tagovailoa succeeding in the NFL. And considering Jacoby Brissett had a way better showing than Tua did, Tua should start week 1. I'm not going that crazy saying, Brissett should start over him. But if you got to make a QB change midway through the year, do it. That's what I say to Brian Flores.
Being a Colts fan, Jacoby Brissett should never start over anybody ever.
He wasn't bad. He wasn't awful.
Unless you want to put him,
he's a backup.
right. If you do what Indy did and put him in the red zone, he's a great red zone QB. But I think Miami would have made the playoffs had they stuck with Fitzpatrick all year because they were playing Patrick. They might have snuck in over the Colts because they were competing for a wild card spot even with Tua, right?
Yep. They got eliminated week 17 of the playoffs. Yep.
Yeah.
Dolphins had a good year, and that's what I'm saying. With the strong defense, and if Myles Gaskin can continue what he did in the second half of last year, if Tua's struggling, you put in Jacoby Brissett or you trade for someone. You go off and do your thing and try to make the playoffs. But yeah, no, Tua was not impressive, but I wouldn't worry about that. That's definitely not the last time we're seeing Tua this preseason. So we'll see what happens. And this was on my list. Good. So yeah, the Bears did sign former Pro Bowl left tackle Jason Pierce to a 1-year deal. I'm honestly shocked he didn't retire. Seeing him in a Bears uniform is going to be really weird, but he's still pretty solid for being 38 years old.
I mean, Peters was part of the dominant Philly O-line forever, until their O-line stopped being dominant like 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. But he's one of the reasons they were so good. Peters has been good his whole career. It's a good veteran pick.
Yeah, I mean, great run blocking tight end, or rather tackle, and that's why you pick up a veteran to block for some guys like David Montgomery and Terry Cohen. Cal, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's just great overall signing. He's been a solid player his whole career. Obviously, he's a little older, but I think the Bears are just trying to pad it on. They possibly have a new young quarterback coming in. They might have to rely on the run a little bit, so I think it's a great signing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Again, for a 1-year deal, even if he gets injured, you're not breaking the bank. I think he would probably get a veteran minimum of about $3 million at most. It's a good deal. Moving on to the Canucks re-signing center Jason Dickinson to a 3-year, $7.95 million deal. They acquired him back in July, and was one of the better, more underrated players on the Stars for the past couple of years. Vancouver signs him. Anyone have any extra takes? Didn't think so. Moving on to what is next? Oh, yes, the no-hitter from last night. Diamondbacks pitcher Tyler Gilbert no-hit the Padres as Diamondbacks won 7-0. Hear this. This was Gilbert's first career start. Nothing but a bullpen arm up until this point in his career, and he no-hits a batting lineup with the likes of Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Jake Cronworth. He's been having an incredible season. The Diamondbacks, the worst team in baseball, just shut out the second wildcard team and pitched a no-hitter in the process. Incredible story.
Yeah, I hope that starts a bright career, because that's just amazing, especially considering, as you said, against the Padres. Nando's my favorite player in baseball, so it's sad to see, but at the same time, it's good to see.
Yeah, I think it's awesome to see a relief pitcher coming in for his first start, throwing a no-hitter against, in my opinion, one of the best teams in baseball. That's awesome. And I think I read the stat on SportsCenter earlier this morning. It's 8 no-hitters this season in MLB, and it's the first time since 1882 that's happened. So I think it's just crazy the amount of no-hitters and the guys coming up and doing it. It's awesome.
Yep, 8th no-hitter for the Diamondbacks. Technically, they're second of the season. Remember earlier on the season when Madison Bumgarner no-hit the Braves, but it was part of a 7-inning doubleheader situation. I can't stand the 7-inning doubleheaders. Good thing they're getting rid of those next year. But in reality, if they count that as an actual no-hitter, that is 8 on the year for the MLB. And that is incredible. And another stat I read was that Tyler Gilbert was the first pitcher to get a no-hitter in his debut since 1951. That was another stat I read. So, it's a pretty good way to start off your. It's pretty obviously. It's pretty well known that he's going to be a Diamondback starter for a while now, considering how bad their pitching actually is for the most part. So, props to Gilbert. He balled out in his first start, and that was a heck of a performance. All right, I realize I skipped over one topic that one of my loyal subscribers will be upset about that I missed, and I can't believe I missed this topic. So we're going to wrap it up with a hockey topic, and then we'll pretty much just wrap up the show. Again, I want to thank Rourke and Cal for coming on. Very good classmates of mine. And, definitely give them a shout-out for stopping by. Next week, I'll have hopefully 2 more of my classmates, Chris and Colin. So we will see if they come on or not. And yeah, that's my Blake Bortles fan account. I have one of those. All right. Last topic of the show. That, again, one of my loyal subscribers who can't watch today, but she would be upset if I didn't bring this up. The Philadelphia Flyers extended goaltender Carter Hart to a 3-year deal over $11 million. I'm going to say this right now. This is an absolute steal. I know Carter Hart had a down year last year, but the Flyers have done nothing but work on their defense this offseason. And with the strong defense we saw during the 2020 playoffs, Hart can play lights out. I'm not saying he's going to go crazy and win the Vezina Trophy or anything, but he's going to have a significantly better year than he did last year, and the Flyers could very well sneak into the playoffs. What are your guys' take on this? Hart also had his birthday this week, so I believe he turned 23, if I'm not mistaken. But what's your guys' take on the Carter Hart extension?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Grant. I think it's nothing but a win for Philadelphia. I mean, he did have a down year, but I see nothing but improvement or at least solid goaltending for this next year coming up. So 3 years, $11 million. I think that's great.
Might even be an underpayment depending on how good he plays these next few years or not. So something to keep an eye out for there. Well, that is going to wrap up the show. Unless you guys want to talk about any other topics, I still got a few minutes.
I don't know. Any word on the Colts game? How'd Eason do?
I was about to say, we could check the Colts and Panthers game. Only preseason game on today. I will be commentating Patriots and Eagles on Thursday if I can. Colts and Panthers. It is currently 6-3 Carolina, second quarter.
7 for
Colts
11.
are losing.
3 yards for Jacob Eason.
And Jacob Eason, 7 for 11, 73 yards. No touchdowns, no turnovers. Paris Campbell had a 37-yard reception. That's pretty good. And for the Panthers, PJ Walker, the XFL legend in there, going 5 for 9.
Gotta love PJ Walker.
Yeah. But yeah, as you were saying, Rourke?
Hubbard's not having a good day. That's kind of disappointing, but granted, he doesn't need to when McCaffrey's on the Panthers.
Yeah, that is true. Christian McCaffrey coming back strong. Another player you're going to want to pick up early in your fantasy drafts. Preferably number 1. So,
I wonder
more
why.
Fantasy draft hints for you guys. I'm still pretty new to it. This is my 4th year doing it, and I remembered last year I started Kirk Cousins over Kyler Murray for half the year. So, I am not the person to be taking fantasy advice from.
I have been playing for 8 years now. I've won or come in second just about every time.
Nice.
It's a lie.
It's not a lie.
It's a lie. Wait, what about last year, Rourke? I don't know if I'm lagging, but
No,
I had quite literally the best possible team put together. I think it was a 10-man league. I had Devontae Adams, Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, and other one's slipping my mind, Chris Carson. Those are like my main guys. Went undefeated in the regular season and lost in the first round to the worst possible team. So I had a great year, yeah.
I'm trying to see me starting Kirk over Kyle. I'm trying to see if that was like our little league or was that another league. I don't exactly remember, but it was like I was in 3 leagues last year. It was one of the 3. I started Kirk Cousins over Kyler, and I think I finished almost dead to last in our classmate group league. So again, I ain't the best expert when it comes to fantasy football in the slightest. But I hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast. Roy, Cal, let me know. You can come back on the show any week. Just let me know in advance. You guys are more than welcome to come back, and it was awesome. It was awesome having you guys on.
More than welcome to come on anytime you want, Grant.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Cal, you coming back? Did I scare you?
Nah, let me know when, or I'll let you know when. Either way, it's cool. Thanks for having me on. Definitely down to come on again.
Appreciate everyone in the comments. Appreciate our bud Cam in the comments. Giving his opinions on the show as well throughout. We'll be having Cam back on soon. And again, I'll be having some more of our pals come on next week on the show. So stay tuned for that as well. But until next time, I'm Grant Fluff from Floodsters Sports Zone saying enjoy the rest of your afternoon.